The morning sunlight crept quietly through the thin curtains, painting soft gold across the small living room, and that's when Daniel realized he wasn't alone. He froze in the doorway, coffee mug trembling in his hand, because sitting on his worn couch was a woman in his oversized flannel shirt, her hair still damp, eyes heavy with something deeper than exhaustion. She looked up, met his gaze, and said in a voice barely above a whisper, "If you hadn't opened your door last night, I don't think I'd still be here." Before we step into what happened next, the choices, the secrets, and the moment that would change both their lives, take a second to like the video and subscribe to the channel, because stories like this remind us that sometimes the smallest acts of kindness echo louder than we ever imagine. Daniel was used to quiet mornings. Since his wife passed away 3 years ago, routine had become his anchor: wake up early, pack his 8-year-old daughter Lily's lunch, get her ready for school, then head to his job at a small repair shop. Life was simple, tight, sometimes painfully lonely, but steady enough to keep moving forward. The night before had been anything but ordinary. A storm had rolled through the city, heavy rain hammering against windows and turning the streets into rivers of flickering reflections. Daniel had just put Lily to bed when he heard frantic knocking at the door, sharp, desperate, almost uneven, like someone running out of strength. When he opened it, he found a woman soaked to the bone, shivering, mascara streaked down her cheeks, clutching a small leather bag like it was the only thing tethering her to the world. She didn't say much, just asked if she could sit somewhere warm for a moment. Daniel hesitated only long enough to glance back at Lily's room, then stepped aside. He gave her a towel, one of his shirts, and made tea. She sat quietly, staring at the steam rising from the cup, as if trying to gather scattered pieces of herself. Daniel didn't press her for answers. Something in her eyes told him she needed silence more than questions. Eventually, exhaustion took over, and she fell asleep on the couch. Daniel covered her with a blanket and went to bed, assuming she'd be gone by morning. But now she was here, calmer, yet carrying an invisible weight. "My name is Elena," she said softly. "And I owe you an explanation." Daniel shrugged gently. "You don't owe me anything. Everyone needs help sometimes." She studied him for a long moment, as if measuring the sincerity behind his words. Then she took a slow breath. "I'm the CEO of a company you've probably heard of," she said. "Or maybe you haven't. Most people only notice when something goes wrong." Daniel blinked, unsure how to respond. She continued, voice steady but tinged with vulnerability. "Last night I walked out of a board meeting where I realized the people I trusted most were trying to push me out, quietly, legally, politely. Years of work, and suddenly I felt like a stranger in my own life." Daniel leaned against the wall, listening. "I drove for hours," she said. "I didn't know where I was going. The storm got worse, and I just needed somewhere to stop. Your porch light was the only one on." There was a long silence. Daniel finally smiled gently. "Well, I guess that light did its job." Over the next few days, Elena stayed longer than either of them expected. She insisted it was temporary, just until she sorted things out, but gradually she became part of the quiet rhythm of the house. She helped Lily with homework, laughing when they got math problems wrong together. She cooked dinners that filled the small kitchen with warmth Daniel hadn't felt in years. And slowly, the tension in her shoulders began to soften. One evening, as rain tapped softly against the windows again, Elena sat at the table staring at a stack of documents. "They're offering me a settlement," she said. "Enough money to walk away quietly." Daniel looked at her. "Is that what you want?" She shook her head. "No. But fighting means risking everything: reputation, stability, maybe even losing." Daniel thought for a moment, then said simply, "Sometimes the hardest fight is the one that tells you who you really are." Elena smiled faintly. "You make it sound simple." "It's not," he said. "But neither is giving up." Days turned into weeks. Elena returned to the corporate world with renewed determination, commuting from Daniel's modest home while she rebuilt alliances and prepared her case. She insisted on paying rent. Daniel insisted on refusing. They eventually compromised with her fixing everything in the house that had been broken for years. One afternoon, Lily tugged at Daniel's sleeve. "Dad, do you think Elena's happy?" Daniel watched Elena in the backyard, talking on the phone with a rare, confident smile. "I think she's learning how to be," he said. The turning point came during a crucial board meeting. Elena stood before a room of skeptical faces and spoke not just about profits or strategies, but about integrity, about building something meaningful instead of merely maintaining control. Her conviction shifted the room. By the end, the vote was clear: she would remain CEO, with stronger support than ever before. That evening, she returned to Daniel's house carrying a small cake and eyes shining with relief. "We did it," she said simply. They celebrated quietly, laughter, stories, Lily insisting on extra frosting. For the first time in years, Daniel felt a lightness he hadn't known he missed. Later, after Lily went to bed, Elena stood by the door, hesitant. "I should probably find my own place," she said. "You've done more than enough." Daniel felt a familiar ache, the fear of losing something precious just as it begins to feel real. "You're always welcome here," he said. She looked at him, emotion flickering across her face. "You didn't just give me a place to stay," she said. "You reminded me what kindness looks like, what home feels like." Weeks later, Elena invited Daniel and Lily to visit her office. The towering building felt worlds away from their small house, but Elena walked beside them with the same warmth she'd shown on that rainy night. At the end of the tour, she led them to a conference room overlooking the city. "I've been thinking," she said, "about starting a foundation, something that helps single parents find stability, training, opportunities. I wouldn't have found my way back without you." Daniel was speechless. "You changed my life," she said softly. He shook his head. "You did the hard work. I just opened a door." She smiled. "Sometimes that's all it takes." As seasons changed, their bond deepened, built not on grand gestures, but on shared breakfasts, school pickups, quiet conversations. Love grew slowly, naturally, like sunlight returning after a long winter. One evening, sitting on the porch as the sky turned shades of amber and violet, Elena turned to Daniel. "Do you ever think about that night?" she asked. "All the time," he admitted. She took his hand. "It was the worst night of my life, and somehow it led me here." Daniel squeezed her hand gently. "Funny how life works." Lily ran out to join them, laughter echoing into the warm evening air. And if there's one thing this story reminds us, it's that kindness doesn't require wealth, power, or perfect timing, just the courage to care when it matters most. One open door can rewrite a future, one small act can ripple farther than we ever see. If this story touched your heart, don't forget to like the video and subscribe, because every story shared keeps the light on for someone who might be searching for it in their darkest moment. Sometimes, the greatest turning points arrive quietly, in the middle of an ordinary night, with a knock on the door and a choice to open it.